to talk for a minute because lately I've been reflecting on the changes that I've made in my life and just where it has landed me on my journey. And no, this is not going to be a video about any type of advice. It's just me kind of reflecting. And one thing was lately I've noticed on social media and just online in general that a lot of people are discussing becoming more self-aware and like what to do with that. And that actually was the biggest struggle for me when I started out because I thought I was a person that was very self-aware. But what I realized was I wasn't necessarily self-aware. I was aware of what I was doing and how it didn't work, but I actually did not have any way of getting myself out of it. So I wasn't able to interrupt those patterns. So we all know that like self-awareness without action pretty much means nothing. But more specifically, I was a very reactive person and I lacked any type of emotional intelligence. And I like to call it thinking past one. I did not have the ability to think past one. It literally was thought in action. And that typically landed me in situations that weren't beneficial, that got me into some trouble. But the reality was I had to learn my lesson. And the fact of the matter was also, I didn't learn my lesson multiple times. So I had to keep repeating that and repeating that. And taking a moment to just say like, this is not working. This doesn't make me feel good. Why am I acting like this? That is kind of what started this journey. Like, why do I keep finding myself in these predicaments? And that is where I started to do that internal work and like reflecting with myself because that was the only way for me to get to the root of it. Honestly, me trying to figure those things out is how, you know, how people say like you have to go through isolation, but that is really what took place for me. But it wasn't like I just removed myself from the world. I just kind of said no to certain things or chose moments where I can really sit and learn me, honestly. And that is what made change possible because I started journaling. And I was a person that naturally liked to write or do my little voice notes on the phone or anything. But I started journaling whenever I felt at my lowest. So if I knew, and I would reflect on past scenarios, and it would not be that long ago because, again, I was still in those reactive moments. But during this like isolation period, I started like relearning myself and learning my tics. And so I wasn't able to articulate why I was doing these things, but as I put it on paper, I was like, okay, things are starting to make sense a little bit here. And then I would have to go do research because I couldn't at the time afford therapy or afford a coach. So I would literally read books. But during this time, I started journaling and I would write down, this is what happened, this is how it made me feel, and this is how I reacted. And if I was not proud of that feeling, and 9 times out of 10, I was not, whether I felt justified or not, I wasn't proud of it. Because one thing I used to say, if you bother me, I'm going to bother you back. And to me, that meant I'm defending myself. But I kept trying to figure out, why do I feel the need to defend myself? Like, why can't I just learn to ignore these things? Like, why do I have to respond to it? So that journaling helped me during those moments because I was able to sit with myself. I was able to just write out how I felt and then like think through how I wish I would have responded. And sometimes I felt like I was disrespecting myself by responding in a manner that I felt was less than, which was calm, cool, and collected, or ignoring. Because also I grew up in a family that was very chaotic and dysfunctional, and they argued and they would fight because I wasn't a fighter, but I was just very vocal about what I was going to experience or what I was experiencing with somebody. But I knew that I did not want to show up like that. But I was showing up like that because that is what I learned. And I also learned that I don't actually have to be a product of my environment. And it just, this moment, this transitional period for me allowed me to sit with myself and learn myself and just build that trust back with myself. And it took years, honestly. So it wasn't that I was just by myself forever, but I did make it a very intentional thing where I spent time alone. I spent time away from the environments that I felt like didn't allow me to show up as the best version of myself. And I had to have those conversations with myself on, how many times I say myself, right? But I had to have those conversations just like, why do you want to be here? What is it that you feel like you're missing? Like, what are you getting from this type of interaction? And I still have my journals today. just about all of that. And it's great to like be able to look back now. But in those moments, I was really trying to like figure out, why do I keep finding myself in these predicaments? And I was the common denominator. So what do we need to do to fix it? So I started to slowly integrate going back out and being a little more social. But I realized quickly that peace I felt when I was not doing the things that did not serve me, did not align with me, was disrupted when I was in certain spaces. So then I would go back to the drawing board, like, what am I doing wrong here? Why am I arguing with this person I wasn't arguing with before? Or why do I feel uncomfortable in this space that I felt comfortable in before? But what it was is that I was becoming more aligned with the person that I actually knew I wanted to be. And that's what I call my highest version of myself. So I was aligning with that person, and those environments I couldn't be in. They made me uncomfortable. Like, they made me very uncomfortable. And during that time period is when I learned about, like, hey, pay attention to how you're feeling around people. Pay attention to how you feel with the topics of conversation. How do you feel when you leave these people? Do you feel energized? Do you feel drained? Even with just myself, when I'm watching TV, listening to music, and even that internal self-talk, like, how do you feel after going through that, after you experience that? Do you feel good or do you feel bad? Like, how are you feeling? And I would write those things down, and I realized that the things that drained me were things that I didn't actually align with anymore. And I was forcing myself to be there in those spaces and interact with those things because they were familiar. And I felt bad. I felt like I was abandoning people, and I felt like it was a lot of things that I was judging myself on harshly. But the reality was, that's growth. That's a part of growth. So like, those moments where I really learned myself came from me being isolated from different things, and it was just me. But then my environment really reinforced what I learned about my true self, and that allowed me to trust myself more. I'll say that it really did allow me to trust myself, because I'm now listening to my body. I'm paying attention to how I react to any and everything, and I'm paying attention to how people react to me. I'm starting to be able to be like, I don't think this person like me, or I don't actually like this person, or I don't like this type of interaction. I don't like this topic of conversation. This does not feel good to me. And then that's when I started being able to think past one. I was able now to be calm, be cool, be collected, not be on high alert, because like, I'm regulating my nervous system here. Before, I was all over the place because I was all over the place. I did not know how to just calm everything down. And that's why I was very reactive. But now it's like things were just not bothering me. And eventually I stopped being in situations where I had to defend myself and I had to be on high alert. I just naturally gravitated away from those things. And the people that represented that naturally gravitated away from me. Like, it was a repel situation. We were not aligned with each other. We were not going around each other. And it was never a situation of like me falling out with someone or any type of like toxic thing like that. It was more so, this don't feel good. It don't feel good for me. It doesn't feel good for you. So bye. Like, it literally was things like that. And it allowed me, like I said, to trust myself, but to just be more consistent with the things that I was doing to get to this point. So now I take those moments to really focus on my mindset and practice gratitude and journal, reflect. I take those moments to just read and really learn myself and build hobbies, like things outside of the world, like things that are just for Evelyn, because that's the most important thing, honestly, because I have to have a great relationship with myself in order to have a great relationship with anybody else. And it just allowed me to see things differently, and that opened up the world for me. I started believing that I could do anything and be great at it. And what do you think that led me to do? Absolutely any and everything. It went to a point where I just every year was going to school to get certified in something, because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I was just going to get certifications because I was bored, and that just kept going. So now I find myself, I can do a lot of different things. And now I have different hobbies, a lot of things that I felt like, oh, I could never do that. I would never do this, or I'm not the type of person that type of language does not come out of my mouth anymore, because I am that type of person. I speak very highly of myself because I have to. And that's something that I ask my clients to do as well, because being able to clap for yourself and being able to brag on yourself is very important. It's not something that you need to humble yourself or you're arrogant or cocky. I think a lot of people are able to say what you need to work on. You take a lot of criticism from the world, but what can you say about yourself? How do you feel about yourself? Because that relationship matters most, and that is what matters to me, which is why I work so hard on creating a great relationship with myself and relearning myself and rebuilding that trust and that confidence. Now I'm unstoppable. Like, all jokes aside, like, I literally have created such a peaceful life that has allowed me to be able to go into different spaces that I never thought I would be in, has allowed me to do things that I never thought that I would even want to do. And it's just given me the confidence that I've needed. And what that means is now people treat me differently because I have the boundaries with myself. I show up in a certain way that requires you to be respectful to me because I am respectful to myself. I respect other people. And I think that's the most important part of all of this, is that confidence and that love and that trust that you build on this journey that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. And it also has this level of accountability because now those same habits that got me here, I have to maintain. So I find myself just continuously growing and growing and growing. And it all started from just this one moment of, why do you act like this? So if you are ever in a space where you're feeling like, I want to get to the root of something, do it. If you feel like you are on this journey and you are alone and nobody understands what you're going through, if you can't find your community like in your physical and like in your the real world for you, go online, go to a support group, go to different spaces where you want to emulate that group of those groups of peoples, because that's the most important part. I now surround myself with women that I would like to emulate. I don't surround myself with people that I don't want to be like. Like, that makes no sense. So I'm aligned with who I want to be, and I make sure the people around me now also fit the bill for that, because we represent each other. And power and proximity, it can either pull you up or pull you down. Like, it's one or the other. So it's one of those things where you have to be secure in who you are and be confident and trust yourself and know that you make great decisions. So that was just me reflecting on my journey, and I will see you guys in the next video.